Welcome to the Lawless Astrology channel. My name is Dabney Lawless. I'm an evolutionary astrologer that studied with the renowned Steven Forrest. On this channel, what we look at is how the cosmos can support us living a more healthy and conscious life. And today I am joined by Kelly, who is known as the astrologer's daughter. And she's an amazing astrologer. She and I both write for the Leela Astrology app, and you can find Kelly on her own YouTube channel, which I'm going to be putting below, but you can also find her on the Leela Astrology app YouTube channel. So this week, we are looking at the forecast for August 8th through the 15th. How's your week been?
I had a Sun Uranus square, so it's some unexpected turbulence and excitement.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been some major events that Uranus. I think I found the great word for Uranus transit in your personal chart is a unexpected power surge, right? Mm-hmm. So you can do things that are, highly individualistic, but also they can kind of buck you off the horse a bit. It's like a lot of energy. Uranus is a lot of, disruptive energy.
Yeah.
So if it's coming to contact your sun or moon. Yeah.
Yeah. We're recording this on the new moon in Leo on the 5th of August. So we are sort of in this sort of birthing stage ourselves and planting things. So what we're going to talk about also is, I think that was last week. So this week, what we're going to be talking about is how we take that energy, that Leo intention that we set and our vision boards, and kind of help turn it into reality and start taking those steps toward reality. So let's talk about the beginning of the week. I'm going to set the stage on August 9th. The reason why I wanted to talk about this is Juno is entering Libra on August 9th. And I don't do a ton of work with the asteroids, but I thought it was interesting because we're all kind of patiently waiting to find out who Kamala Harris is going to choose as her VP. And next week, they're going to hit the road as a duo. And Juno is an asteroid that has to do with marriage. And Libra is about relationships and diplomacy and balancing the scales of justice. So I think it's kind of a nice week to kick off that partnership, because Juno going into Libra is all about leaning into partnership and leaning into people that can help make you the best you can be. So I think there's just a real nice harmony there. And I would also say, coming off of that Leo new moon, where we're really kind of saying we want to express ourselves in a new way, look around you and find the people that harmonize with you. And don't be afraid to partner up at the beginning of this week, or later in the week as well. But we'll talk a little bit about later in the week. So anything you want to add about that, or do you want to move on to August 14th, which is the Mercury retrograde in Leo?
I mean, what came to mind was we talk about Mercury retrograde being not exactly beneficial for signing contracts and to sign on as the VP of the United States. It's a pretty big signature someone's going to be committing to. So anyway, but that's just funny. I wonder if it's going to be a redo, right? Like she picks a VP and then it ends up that person can't complete the duties. Probably not, but that would be one of the predictions of Mercury retrograde, right? That anything you start may have to be, you might have to take a second look, or something we usually kind of something falls between the cracks, or there's fine writing or something that we didn't exactly see clearly. So I'm curious.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting perspective. I like that, because it at the point at which she's picking, Mercury is going to be retrograde in Virgo. So there's sort of this like analyzing, looking at things under a microscope. But there, the rollout of it, there actually could be, technology glitches. There could be announcement glitches. There could be, misinformation.
Right.
Not so much misinformation. I guess it's more what I'm trying to say is like it somehow it comes out and everyone's very critical or something like that. Like it doesn't go as planned with Mercury retrograde.
Right. The message could have an unintended, reaction.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, given.
Yeah. As they hit the road, and all of us in the rest of our lives are, getting through our Mercury retrograde phase. You want to talk a little bit about on the 14th when Mercury retrograde backs up into Leo?
Oh yeah, so Mercury, yeah, so it's going, it's reversing through the sign. So started retrograding August 4th at 4 degrees of Virgo, and then yes, like Dabney says, on the 14th, it's going back into Leo. It goes all the way back to 21 degrees of Leo. So you could look at where that hits in your chart. It's going to bring up themes around, yeah, messages, think that anything that needs to be sort of reviewed or reassessed. Leo obviously has such a different tenor of energy than Mercury and Virgo. Leo tends to be much more confident, more willing to sort of put what they feel are the facts on the table, be a little more, there's a sense of showmanship and drama and flair. And so things that perhaps were creative projects, conversations, agreements, things that perhaps are put in motion when Mercury is going through direct and Leo might be up for a review or reassessment. Yeah, what do you think about the Mercury going back into Leo?
I think that to me, it gives us an ability to kind of take advantage of the intentions we set on the new moon in Leo. So I think it's
Hmm.
about kind of refining our message, refining our goals, refining our manifestations, kind of, that just giving a chance, like we put something out into the universe. But that's also when Mercury went retrograde. And so we have
Right.
this opportunity now, like to kind of sync it up with the Leo and just lean into where we want to express ourselves. And that's kind of why I wanted to start off with some kind of positive news with Juno entering Libra, where it's like, there is an opportunity for us to lean on people that our loved ones and people in our lives, and not just feel like we have to always go it alone. So I think as we're trying to bring things into this world, let's remember we don't always have to do it by ourselves. Like we can talk through with our friends, we can talk through with our spouses or our partners, or how it is that we want to live a better life. Like, so I think there's something about that kind of analyzing and going back and expressing our feelings, expressing our emotions with our loved ones, that is going to push us forward this week, especially earlier in the week. But
Yeah.
then on the 14th, we also have Mars conjunct Jupiter, both in Gemini. So that's kind of some big energy where we come in, and so, you know, here we have this, like, we're thinking about where we want to improve our lives. We're thinking about how things need to be potentially made manifest. But then Mars is coming along and it's kind of giving some energy to Jupiter, which is the planet of good luck. So it's kind of like, we're getting the energy, we're revving up the engines to make progress.
Yeah. I mean, Jupiter makes everything bigger. So Jupiter is going to amplify Mars in Gemini. So really thinking about, that's the rapidity with, which we make decisions and act on our ideas. And it could be a little bit of foot in your mouth, right? But it also could be very, highly creative and ideating and like, oh my, people are going to want to say things and take actions. And it can be very physically rigorous. But yeah, Gemini is highly distractible, needs that, it's hyper curious, hyper intellectual, needs to kind of have all of it sort of spinning a lot of plates. So Jupiter will amplify that, but could also, it could make for a clear message. It could also, put forth some confusion because of the impulsivity sort of intrinsic to Mars Jupiter, right? If you think of a Mars Jupiter like an individual with a Mars Jupiter Gemini, like what would you tell that person? Like, oh, you have a great facility with language, you have big ideas, there's a self-assurance there with your intellectual capacity. You tend to like think and say it very quickly, right? It sort of shortens that time between the idea and saying it. So I just wonder if there's going to be something put out into the world that you're like, woo, but for better, for worse. That could be good comedy and brilliant, impromptu improv, or it can be like, oh, maybe I should, it was too early. And also with Mercury retrograde, right? I mean, Gemini, Mercury rules Gemini. So at the same time that Mercury retrograde, there might be, just that take your time to review, be a little more thoughtful. I think sometimes just knowing that there's a compulsive, impulsive parent can help us, I don't know, kind of slow your roll, right? We've all said things that are like, I just was feeling a little bit too optimistic or caffeinated, or I thought I had all the information, or, so that's the gentle warning. But it can be really fun to be like out with friends and speaking and like doing a, like spitballing on ideas for your business, right? I mean, it's very, needs that. That's the food for Mars, Jupiter, and Gemini, I think.
Yeah, no, I think that that's right on. And I also see like it being noise, a lot of noise, like something that
Yes.
just it can be slightly draining, especially for sensitive people, where it's like so much information is coming at us, so much like news is coming at us, so much and there's like an aggressive quality to it where it's like, okay, just take it down. Like we don't need all of this like noise. And so, that might be a day with Mercury retrograde as well, where like if you are able to kind of don't schedule meetings that day, like there might be some creative juices flowing, but it also might be just a lot of overwhelm. And with, which we've talked about before is Geminis, you always have to do things twice. So,
Exactly.
there might
Yeah.
be just you try to do it and then it doesn't. So don't buy a computer that day, but and don't doom scroll that day. And yeah, take care of your
Yeah.
mental health, I would say.
And
So,
the moon's in Sagittarius that day too. So it's not like there's anything trying to hold anybody back. It's a very like bite off more than you can chew. Will just tend to be very expansive unless you intentionally try to take it
yeah,
back.
and on the world stage between the 14th and the 15th, Mars is the next day making a square to Saturn, which we'll talk about. So it seems like those days, the 14th and the
Woo!
15th, are going to be just kind of intense. There's going to be like a lot of things happening on the world stage. I would imagine some big news out of the Middle East. I would imagine some big news with the election. I know we've all been kind of riding a wave where it goes up and then it comes down and we don't know what's happening. And so just kind of brace yourself that around the 14th and 15th, there could be this kind of explosive energy that, here's my cat. This is Bailey. Bailey's going to say hi. So yeah, do you want to kind of riff on the Mars Saturn square? Because squares they get us to the next place,
I
but
do not
not
I
always
do not
easy.
envy a Mars Saturn square. I mean, Mars wants to go, right? Mars doesn't like restriction. Mars likes action and the yes. And Gemini, right? It just wants to think and do and move and stay interested and keep moving forward. And that Saturn and Pisces, which we've all been feeling and experiencing, at that square, it's just that, I mean, it is the whole, put on the brakes at the same time as the gas. So that's going to be, yeah, it's that whole try to take a step forward and it's like you have to take a half step back and like there could be a redo, especially with the Mercury retrograde circulating. So, I mean, I think it's going to be like our messaging is going to get some sort of, I don't know, either a break on our messaging, or there could be, yeah, facts or how we think something's going to turn out. Saturn Pisces has this effect of, I don't know, almost bringing out hidden feelings, right? The need for us to, build better structures to support our dreams. It can be a little bit of that disillusionment. So I feel like Mars and Gemini is very jovial and youthful. And it's like, I believe and I want to move forward and everything's kind of light and airy. And then Saturn Pisces is like, no, there's hidden cracks you didn't see. There's I want to make a bunch of like water damage metaphors, but that's just, it's my personal life. Um, so yeah, it could be hard to come to an agreement that day. It could be hard to, it's like if you want, if you have a goal, like I don't know, let's say I'm gonna reach out to 10 people. Like you might get 3 in and be like, oh my gosh, I need to like redo my cover letter. Oh, this message is it's like it won't allow you. It is the necessary break to the super fuel gas of Mars and Jupiter, almost like a backlash, right? Because the day before it's this big, but the Mars and Jupiter is happening at the same time that we have that Mars is also leaning into the square. It's not like the square just happens one day, right? It's applying all week. I mean, so it's going to be an interesting combination. It's like a complex, right? Squares are complex. Squares are, we tend to kind of choose the side sometimes we're comfortable with, and then, we'll feel the effect of that, of perhaps overemphasizing one of the planets over the other. So really balance, just being aware.
Yeah, what I'm getting is that, on the high side is that we can be somewhat energized to take action in a disciplined way. So I think that's the high side, is in putting in the hard work, understanding that things don't always flow. And this is not a flowing aspect, but it also is an aspect where so much can get done. So this is like, if you wanted to commit to a meditation practice, that is like, it takes that commitment, it takes that motivation. So I think it's like, where do you need to feel motivated? And again, I do think that there might be some violent news or some violent things that take place, but that seems very, like we've been living through a lot of that kind of news lately in general. But if there is kind of something that, just is like, maybe like a violent act that makes us pay attention, that makes us kind of, hones our ability to make progress and get something done, or touch into our own inner compassion, because that Saturn in Pisces is so complex. God, it's so complex, and there's so much meaning there. So so that's a lot to chew on. So, partnership, reviewing, taking stock, not flying off the handle, really understanding that this is a time to bring your energy to the table and be very disciplined in what you do. Try not to fly off the handle. That's really I loved when you said that. So yeah, I think that's the week ahead.
Don't become unhinged.
Try really hard not to
try not to become unhinged,
or try not to be angry if someone calls you a miserable cat lady. As the cat just made an appearance.
Did someone call someone that?
Yes, JD Vance said that people without children are ruining the country, and that they are all miserable cat ladies.
What a awfully immature, undignified, vice presidential thing to say.
So true.
Like, why would you like malign single people? It's just jealous.
You need
Are there like studies where single people without kids are statistically happier?
So yeah,
I'm for both.
And I think
Juno and Libra. This is the example of Juno and Libra.
We all deserve a vote. We all deserve a say. He actually said that that people with children deserve more of a vote than the people without the children. So anyway, as someone with a child, I'm going to say I don't agree with that. So yeah. So anyway, look out for more aggressive rudeness coming out of certain people's mouths, but we don't need to think about that. So
there is a good point, I will say.
Okay.
Because, if we all want, right, people at the top to sort of be our stewards of politeness, right? To show us how it's done, right? It's always trickle down. If you see employees that are really aggravated or rude, I often think it's the leader that sets that. They're not getting their breaks or enough pay, or the work conditions are somehow subpar. So it is a great reminder for us to, when people treat, in your day-to-day, for example, I just had coffee, one of my friends who's a little like, he's British, he's a little, I don't know, verbose and friendly, and he said, hey, what, you guys look like you're closed, why don't you guys put down the or put up the curtains a little bit, because it was all dark so no one could see that this coffee shop was open, potentially costing the business. And anyway, so they put it up, with their permission, and then 5 minutes later the coffee shop came in, like, put it back down, and there was no sun coming through. But then, my friends started getting all like picky about the people in the coffee shop, and it's like, well, we're just basically reciprocating the perceived rudeness, right? So it's like, we've got to be able to it spreads, and that's not the idea. So it's kind of like, I don't know, I guess back to two wrongs don't make a right. So we also have to, right, we are the, be the change you want to see. So that happens at, in your local coffee shop and at the top echelons of government. So we have to be able to withstand what we perceive, as our perception.
Yep.
I
And so
mean, I still
that's
watch that. So it's,
Yep, and so that's a great meditation for the week about like how we want to walk in this world. I love that. And thank you for kind of calling that out to me, because like sometimes I can get sort of carried away with my opinions, and the bottom line is like I want everyone to have a happy, healthy life. That is the truth.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's, while we are under this energy where there's like a lot of noise, there might be some news that's distressing, we may have, spill coffee on our computers, or, our TV may break because of the Mercury retrograde, whatever it may be. We all just need to take a deep breath and express the high side, which is bringing energy to things that we want to manifest in this world. So
Yes, and Mercury retrograde is a really good time of, right? It sort of is an introspective time. And I think that's a great point you made about, if Mercury's already going to sort of prime the pump for introspection and contemplation and thoughtfulness, right? And then when it goes back into Leo, then you get to really kind of refine that goal. So plant a seed today, or sorry, hopefully you planted a seed a few days ago when this actually comes out. Spoiler alert. But but yeah, that it could be, I think there is going to be some appropriateness of picking up on, it could be a past project or relationship or contract or something that from the past, it would be appropriate time to mill over that, don't be
yeah.
surprised if things from the past come revisit for I don't know, a second look or going deeper into it, or, I don't think we should overtax ourselves with like, move forward, right? Damn the torpedoes. There is a cosmic light for slowing down right now and slowing down the processing speed. That's a benefit, I believe, of Mercury retrograde. No?
Yeah, absolutely. And now, like hearing you talk, it also reminds me that we can't also just all be in the light and like everything's good. There's justifiable anger too. And with all this Mars energy, I think it's about, be angry, but be angry in a healthy way. There's healthy expression of anger, and then there is an unhealthy expression of anger.
Absolutely.
So in your own personal
Right.
life, like there is justifiable anger. Sometimes, people need to have boundaries. And so that is also part of this Mars square Saturn,
Right.
and is about,
Boundaries and advocating for your boundaries, right?
yeah,
But with just the right amount of force, not with
nothing
like,
that you're going to regret, right? So like check in with yourself about like you said, don't become unhinged, don't fly off the handle, but it's also about like being justifiably upset as well sometimes.
right.
Angry, like you don't have to deny that side of yourself, because then it'll just come out at a later date and explode. So right, so it's like boundaries or explosion, and that might be the
Right.
theme for the week.
Yeah.
So
But know which, yeah, but pick your battles wisely, because you don't want to have the battle at the coffee shop or
no,
the gym or
right,
over a parking space, or, or perceived, like we can make stories up. And it's like you're already feeling a little bit like a live wire. That stuff can become huge. It can become huge, right? So that's where you
right.
have to just practice, like, that's not worth me picking up, because it's just going to not serve you. If it's for, of course, it's for a boundary, or someone lied, or you feel, you need to have a talk with your partner, or, that is where that Mars Saturn can cultivate, the will to do the difficult things that are frustrating, like taxes would be a great example of a Mars Saturn. Like it's not supposed to be easy, but the things that are hardest oftentimes have the most sort of impactful long-term results. So,
Yeah. And
don't mismatch energy.
I've been watching a lot of videos, and Molly McCord did a great video about, can you see narcissism in a chart? And this is a video I've been wanting to do, because, spoiler, you really can't. You can see narcissistic tendencies when somebody is in their low energy, but you don't know where someone's conscious is. Like you can't.
Exactly.
Right.
Steven always said that. You don't know how evolved somebody is just from seeing their planets, right? There's a high and a low of every. You could have 6 planets in Leo and be just the most generous king, or you can be a little idiot,
Right, exactly. So I'm surrounded by a lot of my husband and my
Good
son, a
Leo
lot of
energy.
Leo, and like there's not narcissism there. But one concept when dealing with narcissists is called gray rocking. And that has to do with just kind of like shutting down and like don't feeding into
Oh,
their,
yes.
you just kind of are very direct. You just kind of say what you need to say to them. It's kind of like, they want to pull you into their drama. They want to pull you in to then gaslight you or make you. And so it's just kind of like, no, I'm not, you just kind of state the facts. Like you don't get emotional. That's very Mars square Saturn to me as well.
Yes.
Like just kind of like think of that concept of like you've got your truth, you've got the things that you want to say, but can you do it in, detach your emotions a little bit?
Right. Can you discipline yourself to have some restraint
Yeah.
for your own long-term unseen benefit?
Yeah.
Right. It is like maturity at its highest.
Yeah.
Right. Oh my gosh.
And then if that all else fails, then
Just,
I don't know, go watch a movie and, have a glass of wine and
yeah, numb yourself. Have a bottle.
so on that note, thank you for joining me again. I love seeing you when I see you on Zoom. It's really fun. We talk all the time. We text all the time because we're really good friends. But it's really fun to like have these touch bases and connections, just to kind of remind ourselves. We remind each other what the energy of
Yeah.
the week is going to be, and so then hopefully we can go out and live our best lives. So
Yeah. Meditate.
yeah, you're really
Yeah.
good at that. I need to be better at
Oh,
it. Okay,
sometimes.
so as always, there's a reason and a season for everything, and the universe is conspiring to help you. So go out there and make it a great week. And until next time, see you later, stargazers.